Let's sing together.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone, and welcome. We're so happy to be praying with you this evening and spending a little bit of time welcoming in Shabbat. There's a lot going on in the world right now. I feel like every time we come together, we haven't seen each other in a week. We sort of have to recap, and oh boy, what a task we have in front of us. And we'll get to some of it in the course of our service tonight. But first of all, if any of you are in places where you don't usually live because you are avoiding crazy things like giant fires, or you are misplaced and displaced because of pandemic, we're with you, and we're glad that you're with us no matter where you are. It's one of the beautiful benefits of our technology, is that even if we're not in our homes or in our spaces, we can be together. And so with that, one of the jobs that we have every week when we begin Shabbat is to make our spaces into holy spaces. This chair has been my office chair all week, but now it becomes a part of my sanctuary. And so I invite you all to take a deep breath as we join together in our in the beautiful prayer that we sing as we welcome in our Shabbat by lighting the candles.
And as much as we might want it to still be Yom Tov, it actually is not. And we'll make sure that we change that for next week, but it is indeed Shabbat. And so we take that breath and usher in our Shabbat. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu le'adlik
And so we turn these spaces into sanctuaries and into synagogues and into holy places in our homes or wherever we may be as we pray together. May the door of this synagogue be wide enough to receive all who hunger for love and who are lonely for friendship. Together, may it welcome all who have cares to unburden, thanks to express, hopes to nurture. May the door of this synagogue be narrow enough to shut out pettiness and pride, envy and enmity. May its threshold be no stumbling block to young or straying feet. May it be too high to admit complacency, selfishness, and harshness. May this synagogue be, for all who enter, the doorway to a richer and more meaningful life.
This week, we will read Parashat Noach, where we talk about the second and perhaps even the third time that we have created a new world. And so we sing this song, Shiru Ladonai, let us sing a new song unto God in honor of the new worlds that we have created and have continued to create day in and day out. Sing unto God all the earth a new song. I will sing unto God a new song. Sing unto God and we'll all sing along. All the earth a new song unto God. Sing unto God a new song. Sing unto God and we'll all sing along. All the earth a new song unto God. Shiru Adonai kol haaretz. Shiru
We have a very, very short time of the year, perhaps only another couple of weeks, where the sun is actually going down right now because usually daylight savings time and other such sciences help us to get a little more daylight and not have such long nights. And yet tonight, as I look out my window, I see that it's getting dark. It really is starting to be winter, to be sundown at this moment. And so as we prepare to sing the words of Lecha Dodi and to welcome the Shabbat into our world, into our lives, into our homes, into our experience for the next 25 hours, that when it comes with the actual darkness, it feels different. It feels physical. And so it's a beautiful and rare opportunity when we get to watch the sun go down as we welcome in Shabbat and we sing the words together of Lecha Dodi.
Hey And we remain standing or rise as we are able as we prepare for Barchu.
Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, ruler of the universe, who speaks the evening into being, skillfully opens the gates, thoughtfully alters the time and changes the seasons, and arranges the stars in their heavenly courses according to plan. You are creator of day and night, rolling light away from darkness and darkness from light, transforming day into night and distinguishing one from the other. Adonai Tzvaot is your name. Ever-living God, may you reign continually over us into eternity. Blessed are you, Adonai, who brings on evening. Baruch atah Adonai, ha'ma'ariv aravim. Love beyond all space and time, your love enfolds your people, Yisrael. We receive it in your teaching, your gift of Torah, sacred obligations, discipline, and law. So let us speak these teachings when we lie down and rise up, and find joy forever in your Torah and mitzvot. They are the very essence of life, ours to ponder and study all our days. May we never lose or be unworthy of your love. For you are blessed, the one who loves your people, Yisrael. Baruch atah Adonai, ohev amo Yisrael.
Let's chant together. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם להיות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם. אמן.
Who is like you, God of mystery and majesty, distant and present, thundering and quiet, the beginning and the end, the atom and the cosmos, the darkness and the light, together, the one and the all, pillar and foundation, artist of sea and sky, author of the miraculous and the mundane, source of life, blessing and sustaining creation. Who is like you, glorious in holiness, to whom we praise, to whom we give thanks? The God who redeemed us from Egypt, the God who parted the sea, the God to whom Miriam and Moses led us in song. Only in the evening do we say the Hashkivenu prayer. And in it we ask God to protect us. Historically, in general, darkness is scary, right? Imagine before electricity, before we could walk into our houses and turn on the lights. Darkness was really scary. It was so complete and total. And we have a special blessing prayer that we say in the evening. And we ask God to protect us when we are in the dark, to spread over us Sukkot Shalom, a shelter of peace. And so as we are scattered across certainly the four corners of Colorado, I'm guessing many of you are tuning in not from Colorado. We know that we get to say Shabbat Shalom from all kinds of places. especially tonight as we know that so many are displaced from their homes or worried about their homes, their property, their businesses, as we see how many acres of our beautiful state are burning. We ask for a shelter of peace. And so I ask you tonight, as you're praying, think about where you feel safe. Where is your shelter of peace? And I hope that you're in it, or you're near it, or you have access to it. If you don't, then we are praying very hard with you and for your safety. And feel free to chime in if you are on Facebook in the comments. Tell us, where's your safe place? Where is your shelter of peace? Where do you feel those that God has spread over you, that protection? And we conclude with a blessing. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Praised are you, Adonai, our God, who gives us shelter, who gives us peace, and who makes us feel safe. We join together in the words of Hashkivenu. We rise now as we are able, as we prepare ourselves for our moment of personal prayer in our tefillah.
Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Gadol HaGibor VaNorah, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, Vekonei HaKol, Vezocher Chaste Avot Ve'imahot, Umevi Geula Livnei V'neihem, Leman Shemo Be'ahava, Melech Ozer, Moshiach U'Magen, Baruch Atah Adonai, Magen Avraham Ve'ezrat Sarah, Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai, Mechaye HaKol Atah, Rab Lehoshia, Mashiv HaRuach, Umorid HaGashem, Mechalkel Chaim Bechesed, Mechaye HaKol Berachamim Rabim, Somech Noflim Verofei Cholim, Umatir Hasurim, Umekayem Emunato, Lishenei Afar, Michamocha Baal Gevurot, Umido Melach, Melech Meimir Umechayer, Umatzmiach Yeshua, V'ne'emanat al hachayot hakol, Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayeh hakol. Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, u'kadoshim b'chol yom yehalelucha selah. Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'el HaKadosh.
We take a moment now for silent prayer, for the words that are in our hearts or in our minds, for our prayers for peace and health and safety and security. And we will come back together in just a moment with our collective prayer for peace.
shalom bimromav hu yaseh shalom
So, as previously discussed, we are at this moment pretty we're still at the beginning of the Torah portion. I mean, at the beginning of the Torah, we're reading We're reading Parashat. We are in the beginning of the Torah, and we are in the second week of our Torah reading since Simchat Torah. So in case you forgot, because I just did for a second what we're doing, we read the story of creation last week. And so here we are in the story of Noah. There's a lot of things that happen in this week's Parsha when we read the story of Noah. And it's interesting. Some congregations around the country take this opportunity to bless animals, which is really lovely. And on behalf of my pet fish, Sky, I send blessings to each of your homes and to all of your dogs and cats. But I actually think that this Parsha has something more to teach us than just how important animals are or our pets are to us. We don't often see the Parsha of Noah as one full story. What do I mean? Well, at the end of this Parsha, there's actually this little tidbit thrown in that we kind of sometimes forget about, which is the story of the Tower of Babel. And it could go with the story of Noah, but it could also just be at the beginning of the next Parsha also. And honestly, we feel that way all the time, right? Especially in Genesis when things are so narrative. We're telling stories. But it mostly feels like the beginnings and the endings of the Torah portions are kind of random. We know that they are the constructs of rabbis who put them in place when we began to participate in this weekly public Torah cycle. But perhaps there is something more to the meaning of the lines of this particular Parsha. Perhaps the story of the Tower of Babel is actually the end of the story of the flood, even though no one really tells it that way. What do I mean? The story of Babel is about the generation that came after the flood. And much like we see our own history, the story of a generation can often be understood as a response or a rebellion against the generation that came before. What's the best example in this in our recent history? The 1960s. So much of what identifies that era for us is based in counterculture. It's a protest against what had defined the generation before. To make things far too simple, a generation grew up during the Great Depression and World War II, and that deeply influenced the way they interacted with the world and the way that they raised their families. But their children didn't know the Depression. They didn't know hunger. They didn't know that kind of fear or that kind of war. And so they rebelled against the culture of their parents and created in the 60s and 70s the total opposite. So this makes sense to us. Perhaps the same is true of the generations of Noah and the generation of the Tower of Babel. The beginning of our Parsha, when we start to read about Noah and the ark and the animals and the flood, we learn about a generation that was incredibly selfish. The flood was brought upon the world, the Torah tells us, because of a massive, widespread global failure of people to care about the well-being of anyone else. Our rabbis teach us that the fabric of society frayed so deeply that it became irreparably eroded because of people's individual selfishness. We talk in this story about the miracle of God saving Noah and the animals and the rains and how they boarded the ark by twosies. We don't talk about the massive failure of a society that basically suffocated itself from lack of caring. It turns out that when people only care about themselves, it creates anarchy, the product of which in that generation was stealing and cheating and raping and beating and killing. And so God wiped out the people, save Noah and his family and a few animals, enough to preserve the work of creation, and God started over. What we forget in the beauty and the feel-goodness of that rainbow is that the new start is not a success story. Let's go back and just really quickly look at the whole Parsha so that we understand where we're going here. It's chapters 6 to 11. Chapters 6 through 8 detail the corruption, the building of the ark, the flood, the rainbow. Chapter 9 begins with God's commandment to Noah to fill the earth, be fertile and increase the new generations, fill the earth, and then God gives the covenant to never wipe out the earth in such a fashion again. Noah gets a little drunk, and then in chapter 10, the generations of Noah are listed. 32 full verses of the descendants of Noah, so that we know that the earth is repopulating, the new generation has arrived, and then in chapter 11, there's just these little 9 verses, and they detail the story of the Tower of Babel. Instead of a generation of violence and selfishness, a new era arises, and with one language and one purpose, the tower is built. Let's just remind ourselves the story of the Tower of Babel. The people all speak one language. They can understand everything they say. They're in one place and they have one united purpose to build this giant tower. And so they decide they're going to bake bricks, and they make bricks, and they decide they're going to make mortar, and so they make mortar. And they start to build this tower. And what is it that happens? Well, let's see. As they're building the tower, we have to think about what they're doing. Perhaps the society of the tower is seeking to correct some of the problems that previous generation from the time of the flood had. Instead of anarchy, everyone is together. They're united. They speak together. They work together. It seems that the Tower of Babel is built to unite all of humankind, to show the collective and cooperative spirit that was so deeply lacking. Perhaps it's not a coincidence, in fact, that there are no individual characters in the story of the tower. It's very short, because not one person is mentioned by name. Come, let us build a city and tower with its head in the heavens. Let us make a name for ourselves. That's what the instruction is from the people to themselves. The accomplishment is for the group. What a beautiful response to the failure of the generation before them. If the generation of the flood was destroyed because they cared nothing for the success and well-being of the community, then how powerful is it that the generation that replaced them thought to work together, be together, speak together? There is almost no sense of the individual at all in the story. Is that a beautiful response? We forget that the Tower of Babel was also destroyed, and the people were scattered across the earth, far from each other, unable to speak the same language or understand each other, because I think our Parsha is one full story. We can be neither the generation of Noah, every person for themselves, caring nothing for the community or for other people, nor can we be the generation of the tower, one homogeneous group, no individual identity, no freedom. This Parsha, the second Parsha, immediately after creation, is teaching us that there is middle ground, in which we have a sense of individuality and belonging, where we have deep regard for the group, but we have our own voices too. And so in a week where we are overwhelmed by questions of leadership and power and democracy and rights and propositions and amendments and freedoms, this is a powerful Parsha. Let us read it in its entirety, not right now, but in theory, and let its lessons sink in. We are warned against acting in ways that only benefit each of us individually, and we are warned against losing those individual voices and languages and words. We seek a middle ground where we use our voices to build a world that absolutely believes in our own successes and everyone else's. We want to be in between the generations of Noah and the tower. When one generation rebels against the last, the pendulum swings. So let our pendulum fall so that we can build a world that believes in the power of the community and in the individual, where we advocate for ourselves, but also for those who lack their own voice, where we care about what happens to the group, but not at the expense of our own identities or freedoms. Our society, our generation, I think it does live in the middle. We're certainly one community, subject to one set of laws, but we each have a voice and a vote. So if you haven't voted yet, take the lesson of our Parsha. Be neither the generation of Noah nor the generation of the tower. Speak loudly in your own language with your own understanding of the world, but please speak. And let our voices and languages speak words of caring and compassion and empathy and building so that we have the chance to have a next generation. I, for one, look forward to their rebellion. Shabbat Shalom. We move now into our Torah service, and I am very, very honored to invite to participate in that Torah reading this evening Jody Burrows, the mother of our bar mitzvah tomorrow. Max Burrows is becoming a bar mitzvah in the morning, and so his mom Jody is going to say the blessings before the Torah. We are lucky to hear the Torah beautifully read by Shanahan. We are going to hear the translation from the president of our board of trustees, Danny Foster, and we will hear the closing blessing over our Torah reading today from Aaron Burrows, the father of Max, same bar mitzvah boy, for tomorrow. So we're very excited to have all of them with us this evening. And Jody is going to kick it off with the blessing before the reading of the Torah.
Baruch Hu et Adonai Hamvorach. Baruch Adonai Hamvorach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
אמן. ויהי כל הארץ שפה אחת ודברים אחדים. ויהי בנוסעם מקדם, וימצאו בקעה בארץ שנער וישבו שם. ויאמרו, איש אל רעהו, הבה נלבנה לבנים, ונשרפה לשרפה, ותהי להם, הלבנה לאבן, והחמר היה להם לחומר. ויאמרו, הבה נבנה לנו עיר ומגדל בראשו בשמיים, ונעשה לנו שם, פן נפוץ על פני כל הארץ. וירד אדוני, לראות את העיר ואת המגדל אשר בנו בני האדם. ויאמר אדוני, הן עם אחד בשפה אחת לכולם, וזה החילם לעשות, ועתה לא ייבצר מהם כל אשר יזמו לעשות. הבה נרדה ונבלה שם שפתם אשר לא ישמעו איש שפת רעהו. ויפץ אדוני אותם משם על פני כל הארץ, ויחדלו לבנות העיר. על כן קרא שמה בבל, כי שם בלל אדוני שפת כל הארץ, ומשם הפיצם אדוני על פני כל הארץ.
All the earth had the same language and the same words. As they wandered from the east, they came upon a valley in the land of Shinar and settled there. Then the people said to one another, "Come, let us make bricks and fire them hard." So they had bricks to build with, and tar served them as mortar. Then they said, "Come, let us build a city with a tower that reaches the sky, so that we can make a name for ourselves and not be scattered over all the earth." Then the Eternal came down to look at the city and tower the people had built. And the Eternal One said, "Look, these are all one people and one language, and this is just the beginning of their doings. Now no scheme of theirs will be beyond their reach. Let us go down there and confuse their speech, so that no one understands what the other is saying." So it came about that the Eternal scattered them over.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torat emet, v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
We take a moment now while we have done such holy work reading from the Torah, learning about it, to use the beautiful energy that we have created and pray for those who are in need of healing. As always, we will pause in the middle for the sharing of all of the names of people in our lives for whom we are praying.
May the source of strength who blessed the ones before us help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say
This Shabbat, we are praying for Zachary Hoffman, David Karner, David Lustig, Natalie Mosier, Corey Franklin, Jeff Cohn, David Goldenberg, Stuart Myers, Jerry Butter, Michael Rose, Kathy Steinberg, Catherine Plus, Vicki Adams, Jean Silber, Scott Grant, David Horwitz, Michelle Handler, Shanti Hazan, Robert Tucker, Jennifer Brynan, Lynn Pollitt, Lynn McLaughlin Cromar, Cynthia Friedland, Dana Huss, Betsy Appel, Robin Huss, Joe Kaufman, Devora Miriam Bat Yehudit, Joanne Wilner Potts, Howard Rosenberg, Scott Reich, and Beverly Rouleau. If there are others that you are thinking of, please take this moment to type their names in on Facebook so that we can all hold them with you and pray for their healing. And of course, for those who are impacted by these devastating wildfires, we say in our Amida, God causes the winds to return and the rain to fall. And so during this Misha Berach moment, we pray for calm winds and healing and cleansing rains to help control the devastation caused by these tragic fires. We pray for the safety of those on the front lines who are battling the blazes and caring for those most affected. May all those in the paths of the fires find hope, healing, and an end to suffering. Baruch atah Adonai makor ha-refuah. Blessed are you, Adonai, source of all healing.
those in need of healing with refuah shalema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen. We rise as we are able for the Aleinu. Aleinu leshabeach ladon hakol, latet gedula leotzer breshit, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא.
יש כוכבים שאורם מגיע ארצה, רק כאשר הם עצמם עבדו ואינם. There are stars up above, so far away we only see their light long, long after the star itself is gone. And so it is with people that we loved. Their memories keep shining ever brightly, though their time with us is done. But the stars that light up the darkest night, these are the lights that guide us. As we live our days, these are the ways we remember. And today on this Shabbat, we are thinking of those that we have lost in the last week. Thelma Teitelbaum, Arlene Wedgel. Those that we have lost in the last 30 days. Maxine Devine, Anne Clemens Harrison, Paul Kamensky, and Sheldon Levy. And we add their names to the list of those for whom we say Kaddish tonight as a yortzeit, an anniversary of their passing at this time in years past. Reuben Axelrod, Robert Baum, Tatiana Bederach, Dr. David Michael Barenbeim, Sylvia Bernstein, Gertrude Simon Bittman, Erwin F. Blank, Andrew S. Andy Boxer, Anthony John Cook, Martin Fish, Frida Friedman, Saul M. Gilbert, Julius Gilman, Norman Gluck, Lassie Goldberg, Louis B. Goldberg, Marvin Goldberg, Stephen Goldberg, Fred Goldsmith, Chester M. Goodstein, Julie Goralnik, Samuel Kaminsky, Susan Kaufman, Marcus S. K., Florence Kipper, A. Taya Klein, Jess R. Kortz, Morris S. Kramish, Lily Levine, Helene S. Love, Connie Hilb Lundquist, Selma H. Menechoff, Donald H. Meyer, Ida L. Meyer, Dora Mintz, Paul Moore, Franklin James Newman, Myron Bud Newstetter, Anna Newlander, Norton Nelson, Joyce Zobel Opper, Herbert A. Patterson, Cecilia R. Pelton, Herbert Pelton, Gus Rechnitz, Marcus L. Robbins, Steve Sim Roberts, Marlene Rosenberg, Samuel G. Rosenthal, Esther Schwartz, Morris Schoen, Philip Scheiman, Stephen A. Shaner, Oscar M. Scher, Ruth K. Schwader, Rosa Simon, Louis Stern, Sally G. Stern, Dorothy Stoyer, Sam Stuhlbarg, Erwin J. Stryker, Harold Surrey, Joseph A. Tackert, Ruth Tavel, Barry Trevithick, Douglas Wagner, Leonard H. Wolfe, Janice Lynn Yale, Judge Gilbert B. Yarchever, Morton Ziegler. And we add to that list 10 of the 420 souls of Colleen that our chapel is dedicated to that were lost during World War II. Arnostka Abelsova, Leo Adler, Otto Adler, Rudolf Adler, Frantiska Adlerova, Ida Adlerova, Olga Adlerova, Marie Adlerova, Vlasta Adlerova, and Zofie Adlerova. For all of those precious souls, and certainly for anyone else that you are each thinking of, people in your own lives and memories that you are missing on this Shabbat. If you are in a period of mourning, I invite you to rise wherever you are, physically or spiritually. And we all rise to join you, physically or spiritually, as we join together in the words of the Mourner's Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yitgarash shemei Rabbah, ve'alma divra chirute v'yamlich malchute, v'chayechon u'vyomechon u'chaye dechol beit Yisrael, v'agala u'vizman kariv v'imru amen. Yehi Shmei Rabba Mevorach Leolam Uleomei Almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yit'aleh v'yithalal shemei dekudesha brichu le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbachata v'nechamata da'amiran be'alma v'yimru amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya v'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'yimru amen. Oseh shalom b'mramav Huya Aseh Shalom, Aleinu ve'al Kol Yisrael, v'imru, Amen. May the source of peace send peace to all who mourn, and comfort to all who are bereaved, and let us say, Amen.
Oseh Shalom, Shalom b'mromav, Hu yaseh Shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael.
A few announcements before we conclude our service. Lots of things are happening tomorrow. The first thing that is happening is Young Family Shabbat, 9 o'clock in the morning with Steve and Jill, always a joy, and probably, I can't remember the stuffed animals' names, Cuppy, Bunny, something, I don't know, but they like to torture their teenage boys by bringing their stuffed animals to Young Family Shabbat. Neil will be there and loves to see them. That's at 9 o'clock a.m. You can watch all of this that I'm about to tell you is going to be on Facebook right here at Facebook Live on our main page and on channel 1 on our website. That's 9 o'clock Young Family Shabbat. At 10 o'clock, you can join me for Torah study. You can also join on Zoom, though you have to have registered for the link. You can still register for the link. Check your e-notes for that information. At 11 o'clock, the community service right here with me and Steve. And then at 7 p.m., Schwader Havdalah. How exciting. Thanks to the Schwader folks who are going to lead us in Havdalah. And that will be on channel 1 or on the Schwader Facebook page, but we will share it here and you can find it also on the main page. Now, also tomorrow we have 2 of our amazing young gentlemen becoming bar mitzvah. We are going to celebrate with Max Burrows and his family at 9 o'clock in the morning with Rabbi Black and Cantor Sachs. And then Noah Newberger is becoming a bar mitzvah at 11:30, and we will celebrate with him and Rabbi Black and Cantor Sachs and his family. Then those are streamed to our Temple Emanuel B'nai Mitzvah page or to Temple Emanuel channel 2. If at any point you would like to find something and you feel confused, just send a message on Facebook and we will help you get to the place that you need to get to. We're usually checking that out during Shabbat. I know that's a lot. Other announcements, don't forget the building is closed, but we are not. We are here for you. If you need something, please, please, please don't forget that you can reach out to us. The temple clergy is accessible to you. The temple staff is accessible to you. If you have pastoral care needs, care@emmanueldenver.org, or you can reach us on the cell phone, the clergy emergency cell phone line, if you are having an emergency. That number is posted on the website. Additionally, we posted during the Misha Berach a list of links of places that you can help out if you feel like contributing to the wildfire response. We got some inside information today that these are the best places to help us to respond and to support people who are being displaced and who are losing things, and to help first responders and paramedics and all kinds of things. The other piece of information that we were given, which I would like to impart to you and feel free to share with anybody else that you know, is please don't go to the mountains. They're very, very worried about the roads, about the highways, about being able to get to the mountains, to get to the places where first responders need to go to. The snow is not going to help. So if you can stay in Denver, if you live in Denver, please do so. If you have friends that you know are planning to make those kinds of trips, please share this information. It's one of those things that can make a big difference. If, God forbid, the roads get icy, we would love to keep everybody safe, not just people who are responding, but also people who might just be driving back and forth and people need to get through. So Cantor Sachs, anything else to add?
No, that's so many fun things.
It was-
I would just say there's a lot of information that's going to be coming out in our e-notes in the next week or so, just about how we're moving forward with our virtual programming and all the options and opportunities. So please do pay attention and look out for some fun things that we can participate in during this time. And with that, we are going to say Kiddush. So grab some grape juice or some wine and let us bless Shabbat together. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho v'yahava uvratzon hinchilanu zikaron lemaseh v'reishit ki hu yom techila lemikrahei kodesh zecher letzion mitzrayim kivanu v'charta ve'otanu kidashta mikol hamim v'shabbat kodshecha be'ava uvratzon hinchaltanu baruch atah Adonai mekadesh hashabbat. Amen. And we bless our challah. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. And so we conclude our service this evening with words of hope and with words of faith as we reach into our past and think about the rock that has helped our people for generations and generations, Adon Olam. Adon Olam asher malach b'terem kol yetzir nivra le'ein nasa l'chefso kol azai melech shemo nikra be'acharei
Yehi ratzon milfanecha, may it be your will, God, that this week is a week of snow, that it's a week of peace, that this is a week of using our voices and voting early, voting everybody that can. May this week be a week of working toward a future that we all desperately need and want, however it is that we are doing that, keeping each other safe and following all of the different requests that our government has for us right now, to wear masks, to stay at home, to stay out of the mountains, to help donate to the causes that are going to keep people safe and help them. And so with that, we ask God, Tatzidenu l'shalom, let our steps be steps of peace, Tadrichenu l'shalom, and may you guide us on paths of peace. And we wish you all a Shabbat shalom, a Shabbat of peace, and a week of peace.